Okay, everyone, so check this out. Two things really quick. There were times that I came into this church, and because of what I was going through, and it was overwhelming, and you're going to find out in time that I learned what it was that my pieces that were missing out of my life, okay? That would have played a crucial role in aiding me. They were a dominant focus in my life, and without that, I was in a lot of pain and suffering, so. See the bird? When I turned this off and went to go get the other, what is it? What do you call it? A storage drive thing, floppy disk in the camera. Do you know what that's called? Will you write it down below so I remember, please? I forget what it's called. 32 gigabyte what? That's what it is. I went from a 16 to a 32. I do not want to use it all up because that's a lot of footage. And I love footage, but then I listen to it and try to be careful not to have something in there I really do not appreciate myself. So I do the best I can with it. Maybe someday I'll be able to talk and somebody will be able to help edit or have a relationship together. Or I can help them out. But I'm not really an office person, that's the problem. Okay, so check this out. There was many times I came here near the end of a season of time at this church when I was ending near Tracilyn. Had kind of a very bitter personality just at life in general. And when my daddy and I come to the church, I was kind of being snooty. And I would let him know I'm going to go sit over here with the other girls. Now understand, I like sitting with other transsexual females a lot. And children. I don't know why exactly. Maybe you have ideas. Various reasons. But it's very nice. So I know he was happy to see that. But shame on me in a way for not inviting them over to sit with us or inviting him to come and sit with us, with the girls. I would like to tell him, if he ever sees this, that I'm truly sorry. And I can't help for where my thought process was then. But if I went back again, I would try to have a different approach. And all I can say is I hurt looking back that I would ever not sit with you and hold your hand during church service. Because you're the most special person in my life, period. During this season of time. Maybe ever. Can I say ever? Because he saved my life. And without that, I wouldn't be here today. I had nowhere to stay. I didn't know where to turn. Couldn't get into a homeless shelter. No churches, no ministry, nothing would help me. But Daddy did. Very scary season of time for me, but I wish I could have enjoyed it a lot differently and never, ever, ever shunned him at any given point. I'm sorry. Hurt people, hurt people. I wrote it in one of my songs. It was taught to me, I realize that it is true. When people are hurting, a lot of times they might not intentfully do it, but we end up hurting other people. And a lot of times we are sorry we did. And while people are still alive, it's important that if we can get a message out, if only we can truly say, I'm sorry, may they forgive. That's a huge start. One thing I was very proud of him in his ministry outreach was he came here to help out a lot of times with the church. We have a friend. And I was laughing to myself in between switching the flashy drive thing, the card, that I'm the kind of personality type that doesn't want to climb up on a roof. I don't really like heights like that, meaning in a physical sense. I have to feel safe. Ladders, stuff like that. Kind of get nervous. I don't like power tools. And I'm selective over what I use my hands for. Holding cameras, carrying books. And I was thinking to myself, or I was talking to myself actually, and I thought, I'm the kind of person that while work is being done on a house or at a church, I'm kind of like a runner. Meaning, did I bring food here? Does anybody need food? Does somebody need a drink? Do you need me to run to the mini mart quick? Do I need to pick somebody else up to help? Are there some small supplies that I could pick up for you? Or big supplies because you have a truck and they're loaded on the truck for me. Or, yeah, for us. I'm kind of like an assistant like that. And I really enjoy when that is appreciated. It's when it's kind of influenced upon me to climb up on the roof and start swinging hangers. Or hangers. Swing hangers. Will this work? A hanger on a roof? What's that gonna do? I don't know. Comedy. I'm not up there swinging hammers. I don't like to use power tools. But I am the kind of person that would come in and run a vacuum cleaner. Run a dust thing over. What is that? Little dusty thing. Dust. Maybe wash a few of the windows half decent. Maybe not the best, but I'll do them half decent. There are things that I really enjoy doing. You know, maybe I don't even really enjoy doing them, but I appreciate doing them more so than doing things that I relate. I'm not saying it is, please don't be offended, but I relate as being, how about just different than my personality type? That's probably it. I was gonna say masculine, but it's not necessarily masculine, it's just a different personality type. It's not me. But I like to say, if you throw me the keys, whoops, I dropped them, sorry. I will go and get whatever you need. Thanks for letting me use your car. I like to drive other people's cars, by the way, if they're safe and fun to drive. I would do that. In my relationships, I've learned that if I'm honest about what it is I appreciate, for instance, I would like to say that this tree branch at some point, maybe some people would totally disagree, maybe at some point might need to be cut down. Well, I can point that out in my perspective, just kind of like this. Maybe some of these should be trimmed, okay? Set back so when people park their car there, wouldn't scratch it, lean against the car. I can point that out, kind of like, see the grass here? I could help out with that part, pulling the grass out, but not this over here. Why? Because of power tools, using the crimping tools. I might help out a little bit with raking, but I don't really like to use my body like that. Is that okay? Is there other people that might help out? But when it comes to this, even though I gotta be honest, I'd rather be doing some other things. I'm the kind of person that would be okay with weeding things out, you know, maybe even helping out a little bit with the tar. I don't really like to be around chemicals and stuff, you know, to patch up the cracks and where the land is coming up through. With that being said, I'm just pointing some things out here, letting you know that I realize a lot of times when you're in relationships with people, they would want, for instance, me up on the roof. And I even experienced this with one of my best friends when I would help him out with contractual work, even in my worldly self. I made it very clear that there are things I appreciate to do and I don't mind doing, just to invest quality time with him throughout the day while getting paid, believe it or not, then. But as well, in relationships, just investing quality time to be with somebody and being helpful. But when it comes to actually overstepping the boundaries, when somebody just zapped me with the phone. It was a green phone. Mint green, fluorescent. In short, if somebody was working on the roof, I would love to come by and help out in that situation. There's times when Daddy did that. I wish that I would stop by and ask him if he's having a fun day, good day, does he need anything? You know, is there anything I can do that I'm willing to do? How's that? For you, or for the property. The problem is, there are a lot of times in relationships, another person needs a helping hand. I would prefer it and appreciate it. The problem is then they might be insisting or suggesting that you be the one. And the truth of the matter is it okay if I go pick somebody else up and they can help out? Do you know anybody? Can we call anybody? It's not that I want to be mean. It's not that I want to be rude. It's that I want to be truly who I am while also being in healthy relationships that understand. Please don't get mad at me. Don't disapprove of me being honest. I don't want to use power tools. I don't want to climb up on ladders. Know this, that if I went against my truth of being honest, what if I were to hurt myself? Would that person, whoever it was, not necessarily Daddy, but would the person be ashamed of themselves for making me do something that I didn't want to do? In some situations, not. Well, what a jackass. Exactly. I have learned if somebody, a child or another adult person, doesn't want to do something, then don't force them to do it. Make suggestions of the other ways. Give me a list. Give me a list of 10 things right now that maybe you need help with. But know this, if anything on that list is something that is not for me, maybe I'll create something else to do so I can be in your presence. How about if I go pick somebody else up and they can help out? You see, I'm hoping in life, as I cross paths with other people, I'm not saying that about my daddy, I'm not saying that situation happened. I wish I would have been stopping by and asking them how things are going. Is there something I can do? Are you guys hungry? You know, stuff like that. That's me. Maybe having one of my girlfriends or a friend with, or a child or something. We're running around doing errands and we figure we'll stop by and see how things are doing. Maybe I'm on my way to rehearsal for my band practice. You know, hint, hint. Maybe I'm on my way to worship somewhere, who knows? To be involved. That's my kind of personality type, and I gotta be honest, when I talk about those things, you can tell that in my relationship with Daddy, there was a lot of life that I loved. And there were some moments that I wish I could have done better with, but I did the best I could. However that is. What I'm realizing in life is we gotta be psychological, almost geniuses. And if somebody were to ask me, what do you feel is the most valuable asset in the human life experience that is beneficial to maximizing fulfillment in your life journey? And I would say factual intelligence. Factual intelligence. In Scripture, it mentions about wisdom. Give me wisdom. And many preachers, teachers will say, with wisdom, all things can become. And in my opinion, with God's approval, so it will be true. And I've learned that wisdom, a lot of times, in most situations, is what we learn when we go through life experiences. And this here is the greatest aid in becoming intelligent. It's like you're having an affair, an intimate encounter with intelligence, and it's showing you you are receiving it in your wisdom steps of observation, trials and errors, blah, 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 blah. So, some people can read and away they go, or receive information and away they go, and other people will be like, huh? And have a dumbfounded look on their face. Why aren't I getting the results that I desire? All I want to do is fulfill whatever life is inside of there. The problem is, it's not clear to me. The life is in me, but I gotta surrender to complete honesty. And that's why in relationships, I need to be able to be honest, and it needs to be understood. And I would want that same person if they said, you know, Tracilyn, I don't like to do that. In the community, there is what's known as top and bottom, for instance. I am very happy to be a receiver and to be considered what they call a bottom. With that being said, sometimes, not in any specific relationship, it seems that I have crossed paths with a lot of people in general that are what they consider to be switches or bottom themselves. I've always mentioned it very firmly that I am attracted to more of what I consider that to be, please don't be upset, more of a straight, acting, worldly sense, masculine energy. Now I'm learning whether that be a girl or male. I don't believe that there is such thing. In other words, I don't see the boundaries like that. However, I am the one that likes to be the receiver in that area. I love tops very much. I feel like I'm being fulfilled. Unfortunately, I understand that there are people who appreciate the same. And with that being said, I often said it would have to be someone very special to me. Whether that be a girl, boy, you know, meaning man, person that I fall in love with. So, know this, that I am most certainly more of a submissive bottom, but I'm also catty. And I have learned to really defend the life here. Because if not, I go through pain and suffering every time I go against my heart's desires. That happened to me as an escort. I tried to keep my boundaries, no matter how you look at it. And whenever a boundary was broken, even in any relationship, even with something similar to somebody asking you to do something, but it's not what you want to do, power tools, for instance. And then you do it and you're like, why am I doing this? It's not me. For me, that's not in agreement with what I should be doing, okay? And then you do it, then you're upset, then you start to get upset. You insisted that I do it, and now I did it. And now we're both mad. Why can't I just be myself, and you love that, and let's compromise? You know, that's why I'm going to teach what I myself really thought that I knew, but I learned more so after the fact. And that is, a household functions best when things are in writing, agreements come about in writing, and it's understood personal needs versus household needs versus unity needs. We got a lot to learn in the 9 years that I've been here. This was a test run, I'm hoping, that there is life for me, and I can take my experiences leaving here at the finish line. I had a vision of myself with all the names of people that I crossed paths with in life, standing there as I'm slapping hands like in a marathon, in a race. Not in necessarily a race, but just going through life journey. What I realized since I came out transsexual female back in 2007, I can honestly say that in the community, things happened a lot faster now that I'm through it. It happened fast. And God never failed to have support, a support system there for me, or I wouldn't be here today. Okay? I would like to see the day that I can have my heart's desires fulfilled, and within that comes things that I have lost along this journey. Whether it's the financial department, love department, family department, friendship department, worshiping at a church department, however you want to look at it, many areas of my life that I had to let go of while I got busy on some other areas. Anyway, I would be running down through here. High Ridge and Kennedy. Four-way stop. And say the test is finally over. Would I do it with my right hand? Would I do it with both hands? Would I keep on running, or would I be so exhausted that I collapse? Would I pick up a flower? What do you think? What would you do? In other words, I lived long enough here in Dayton, Ohio, that I can finally dissect, and see all the good. Do an x-ray, do an MRI on it, my life, CT scan. How would you word it? How do you do it? Do you dissect, CT scan, MRI, x-ray? Evaluate. Observe. How do you describe it? Do you have clever words to use? I like clever words. Leave me a comment down below. If you subscribe to my channel, know that I appreciate it. If you think I'm a klutz, goofy in my conversation, know this. Maybe I'm pretending to be that way. But if you think I'm really, really good, know that I know it. I know it. And I appreciate your agreement with me. I love this road now, especially, and gray skies. Like concrete. The trees are not bare right now, but know this. I love looking at this road, and when I was looking at it yesterday, I cried my eyes out. So, here's somebody who feels that as an artist, the details are extremely important. And what if the details are already here? And it's the way that I'm perceiving them. Everybody involved at this church through 2009 and prior, because they set it all up. 2009 to, I was here 2011, and even after, because they cleaned it all up. I feel like God literally set this all up, selfishly I might say, for me, so that I could heal. Do you feel that way? Then maybe we attended the same church service. Or maybe you attended while I was out on the road as living life as an escort, trying to keep myself together, knowing that I got to return again. I can't find contentment or happiness or fulfillment. I don't even know where to begin. Some people would say I ran away, but I'm here to tell you there's many reasons that I don't even need to discuss. There's many reasons that happened. At least not right now. We're talking about it. I'm going to go down and go to Catherine's house. 2010, that is an apartment that I stayed in I have a short story to share with you, and then we're pretty much done. A little bit longer than I was hoping to do. I'm hoping in the future I can keep things shorter. May you appreciate what it is that I have to offer. If you are into sharing your life story, know that I would like to listen. You know, while I'm doing some things there at home, it's nice to listen to others. And, you know, some funny moments they've been through or sadful moments. Life. I'd like to hear about your life. Okay? Bye-bye. Adios. Sayonara. Hello, hello, hello. In 2009, at some point, for some reason, I had left Xenia/Beaver Creek, Ohio, at the house I was staying at, and went back on the road as an escort. During that time, I already focused on my other life story. If you go back on the Tracilyn, right now it's called Messages, but I don't know what it'll be called in the future. It used to be called the VCAT, V-Blog. Maybe we'll go back to that. The truth of the matter is, life on the road had excitement, and it also had not so exciting moments. After the tragedy, I came out here, and for a season of time I witnessed what I shared with you with going to the church community. I witnessed what it was like for me to live where I did in Xenia. I had responsibilities to myself, to my child, to life. And some people would say I was running away, but the truth of the matter is I couldn't do it any differently back then with the mindset that I had, the thoughts that were there. I would like to say that back in the day I would have, and I'm going to share with you, since I got in my new apartment, that's when I finally started to realize what needed to be done. And can I tell you, I went to a mental institution in Harrisburg, and I mentioned about this Dr. Tan, psychiatrist, who is no longer employed as a psychiatrist. As far as I know, he retired. He was one of the most intelligent human beings to me, because he diagnosed what exactly is going wrong after speaking to him. I speaking to him for 20 minutes. And he said, "Oh, that's easy." You know, in other words, it's my thought process. And I take things I perceive as negative, and like mud, I smear it into my own flesh, into my own mind. So I contribute other people's opinions, or what is said, my perception of something being oppositional or negative. Maybe because I'm an escort, maybe because I'm a transsexual female. Societally considered different, but not so different. It's just the unhealthy mindset that anybody's different. We're all we're transitional existences, okay? Maybe we lacked education being taught right through the school system, through our family or connections. I don't want to insult or upset or offend anybody, okay? But we are transitional existences. In my mind, that's my new mindset, and it's working for me. It helps me get through day to day. It's easier to make common sense out of things that were once very psychologically challenging. Now, with that being said, I was at a Harrisburg mental institution. I explained to them what I was going through when I was out here in Ohio, whatever that entailed. I explained to them about life on the road as an escort, my desires. They knew the details after 2 weeks and like 2 days or something like that. They knew the details. It was looking back, it was the most wonderful experience in a mental institution that I could have ever witnessed. I had a lot of fun times. I explained with a homeless man I got caught in the shower with. And the fun we would have walking in the hallways. It was one of the most amazing groups to be a part of. My support system during that time was marvelous. Now, with that being said, I had a social worker that was there, and it was understood to me. Now listen, with everything that I described, will you hear me through with this? It's what my mindset was and what I described. According to the facts that I gave them, not off of their observation of the whole situation, because they would have had to be with us. Through the mindset of the observation, it was declared that it would be very, very, very unhealthy for me to come back here to Dayton, Ohio. Okay? I didn't have nowhere else to go. I didn't want to be an escort anymore. I did want that part of my life to be over. I explained about what happened to me when I was on the road as an escort. I'd just been traumatized. Now I'm returning back to it for whatever reason, whether I was asked to leave or if I took it upon myself that it was time to leave. Things weren't working out. Understand, I really felt led into a rock and roll ministry, and I want to transition, and these dominancies are in my life. I have a responsibility to my child. I don't want somebody else necessarily taking control of my life circumstances. I need to be able to provide for myself. Somehow, God provides, and it's really a mindset. I needed to have the means so I could take some kind of ownership of the choices that I make and fulfilling my own life. I had to learn. And with that being said, the social worker highly recommended coming back here to Ohio. She said clearly that it was unhealthy for me. With that being said, I looked to her to the right of me and I told her, I don't know what else to do. She mentioned going back to my one sister because they observed my story. And I already knew, I already knew it would not work out. Is it me? Is it them? Is it just because? How about it just simply wouldn't? Realistically. And I knew if I went there that I would be asked to leave in a brief time. Was it the same thing that happened out here in Xenia? I would be asked to leave in a brief time. Well, that's a horrible thing in a situation where you don't want to be homeless. I already called homeless shelters. I already called many organizations. Please help me. I already described that the transgender community, a lot of the places that were aiding to help, cared more about helping the youth rather than somebody who was 40 years old. Well, I don't look at things by age. I look at things by life. I look at things much differently. Okay? With that being said, I understand they were detailed-oriented. Now what do I do? What do you think? With that being said, I rolled the dice and I said I'm going to come back out here to Ohio. Maybe I could stay with my sister a week or so, but I should come back here. She told me if I come back here, the social worker, I can't help you. What? I'm in Pennsylvania. Policies are different for the states, for the location I would be in. She can't help me. I would have to get help out here. Can I tell you, with my mind as messed up as it was, they should have never legally left me go. And I realize now that all I needed was a voucher of personal assistance, which should have been provided by the system, our governmental system, which is for life and support of people, of human life. That's all that was needed. Here's a voucher. We'll get you checked into a hotel. Maybe the government was intelligent and they made deals with various hotels in time of need. And they got a heck of a deal on it, and therefore people in need could stay there with the voucher. Have we ever thought of that? There's no homeless shelters. There's nowhere else for Tracilyn to go or people who are homeless. Why doesn't the government provide vouchers? It's our entitlement anyway to a life of safety and freedom and to live off the earth. Well, if you're homeless and you live off the earth, you'll be arrested and put in jail. In accordance to God's word, everything belongs to God, not some of it. And everything was given to his one and only Son, Jesus Christ. And anyone who believes in the Son, Jesus Christ, equally, it doesn't say portionately, it doesn't say percentage, equally all has been given to them as well. With that being said, let's face it, I have learned in a healthy mindset, we don't want every single thing in the whole wide world, but we too and are entitled to healthy food, healthy water, a place to sleep that's safe where we don't have to get arrested. We're entitled to a life of freedom, and the way America has been designed, the best way to do that is housing. Has the government ever thought of that? A voucher? Now you can get food. Okay. You can work with a social worker. Food pantries. Whatever. Here's a list. Here's a little book already made by a government who cares about its citizens. Okay? Have they ever thought of that? Because I was never educated in school, in the same school that if I didn't go to school, they would have arrested my mother and probably put me in a group home. They didn't teach me what to do in a time of need, to keep me off the street, safe, alive, healthy, and away from being arrested and put into jail. Shame on the school system for not raising our children intelligently. Do it now. Okay? Do it now. I'm pissed that I was homeless ever in a country that has all this to offer. Do something with it. There's hotel rooms all over the fucking place. I know I stayed in it. Unfortunately, I shouldn't have had to, spread my legs to stay there. Now, here's the thing, no matter how you look at it. With that being said, we have a lot of other things to discuss with that. Because God's prostitution is anybody who goes against their heart's desires. Man's idea of prostitution is keeping people from freely living their life. Okay? Remember that. Stew with it a little bit. It's okay for you to write down what you think. The prostitution law is ridiculous. I believe it should be removed. And new things should be placed in order, which is what happens in our home when it comes to that. Unless it's a violation against us, because when you agree, there's a difference. When you disagree, then that's rape. And therefore, that's when the law comes in, and the law wins in favor of whoever did the raping. Now you're in prison. Okay. Now, when I was staying there, I didn't know what else to do, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. If I come to Dayton, Ohio, you're not going to help me. You can't even put me in contact with a social worker in Dayton, Ohio. Unfortunately, when I got here, I didn't even think, get a social worker. And I think in 2009, I had a personal therapist. The problem is when you get therapists and you get psychologists, in a lot of situations, not all, in a lot more situations than not, they are not guiding you quick enough. Is there a way to do it quicker? I don't know. But for me, I didn't know what to do. I spilled out my heart to Daddy. She can't help me. There's nowhere for me to stay. I can't get a voucher. I can't stay with my sister if I do. Woo, 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 woo. It would be horrible. I'll be honest. She would have wanted a larger, if not all of the finances I would have received. I would have been living in a basement. I would have had to continuously wash up at the bathroom sink. This is not the way I want to live. It's the only person I had to turn to. And it's no one else's responsibility. And it's not my fault that Americans won't allow me to work at a decent salary, which, by the way, none of us should have to work for freedom or measures of freedom, which is what money is. The monetary system is a bunch of bullshit and rapes a lot of people of real, genuine life. Ask me, and I'll share with you many ways on how it's done. Okay? There are other alternatives, other means. I did not choose to live in America. I was born into America, and I love America, and I have just as much right to the resources, you do too, as anyone else. What the answers are, I have many of them. Many answers that we be raised right, taught right, and then we receive the tools and the necessities to live our lives, and we can contribute to a society by desire versus being smacked in the hands, penalized, told you're going to do it this way. Doing it this way is not working, or there wouldn't be so many people on disabilities, social securities, welfare, assistance, homeless. Okay, I'm not offending anybody, right? I hope not. All right. I'm on public assistance. I had to receive it. Okay, but I didn't know that yet, how to do it, because I'm moving to another city to start a new life, because I don't have anybody back in Pennsylvania that I know I could stay with long term. Put it in writing from now on. Don't just stay on word of mouth, because that word of mouth can change I learned in less than 6 hours when I was in Hollywood, when another girl invited me into her home, and she didn't like me talking to her next door neighbor, who was a music producer in LA. It made her mad, and I was asked to leave. She thought I was flirting with him, trying to persuade him, I guess, in my musical endeavors. Do you think I was? What does a lady here in Hollywood have to do, you know, to get a record deal? What do I have to do? Please don't put that stinky in front of me. I'm not that kind of girl. Looks like I'm going back to Ohio. There's plenty of other ones that'll be okay with it. No offense. Now here's the thing, check this out. Check this out. So this is a place that I came to be with my girlfriend Catherine. This is what Daddy had set up. Had asked Catherine, would it be okay if Tracilyn is homeless, needs a place to stay, doesn't want to escort, can you help her? She had a 2-bedroom apartment, so I got set it up. Interesting story how she got it. There's a perfect guest room. I think that's wonderful. Thank this establishment for giving that to her. It was like it was given by God in advance for me. Okay, I gotta switch batteries and then we're gonna walk around really quick. I know this. This is the place I would come in January. And I parked here by the dumpster. And I would smoke outside, not in the apartment. I would stare at these trees. It was cold. The trees were bare. The sky was gray. And look, they tarred it. They did it for me. Oh my gosh. See how quickly things happen? Okay, it was cracked up. I wanted so bad to really value and appreciate, and I did. I'm not being homeless, but after everything that happened to me as an escort, being in mental institutions, not being able to get my needs met in my hometown, I am scared out of my wits. I'm living with a stranger now. I don't want to live with somebody with all this mental challenges, which was high levels of stress, simply not knowing how to take care of self. Well, this is how you do it. And you trust God. Now, can I tell you, I know exactly what should have been done here is the same thing that should have exactly been done in 2009. Instantly, I should have got a social worker. Actually, instantly, yeah, a social worker. If you're in a situation where you're homeless, try your very best to get somewhere safe where you can hold your lip, submit to whatever's required while you live there. Find the nearest food pantries where people, churches, organizations are offering free food. That is the first start. That way, you're taking some of the burden off of the people that are assisting you in your endeavors. Try to submit to the best of your ability with the home rules. Try to express what it is that your needs are. Get a social worker quickly. Hopefully that week, if you can get the strength to pick up the phone and you can fight through your pain in communicating with somebody. You, unlike what I really was clear on, need public assistance, and you are worthy of it. The best way is to get somebody in defense for you that you can open up to in private, and they will guide you. There could be a chance you're suffering mentally. Check it out. Maybe there's disability programs for you. Maybe there's other assistance programs that are there for you that you would rather partake in. Get on a computer. I didn't like to be on a computer at all. I was in froze mode. And it was cold outside. And the snowfall was piling high. Depressed and all alone, despising a world unknown. There's not much to do here. Envisioning you, my dear, while all your words said, tornado inside my head. Inspired by Dayton, this apartment complex in Catherine's bedroom, I opened up the window blind and I looked outside and saw it snowing. And with combination of everything that I was going through, why did it not lift my spirits? I'm being snowed in. And God's saying, you're snowed in. Stay. Like a long, cold winter storm. Imprisoned souls transform. And you know what? I can tell you right now, I do remember when I'm singing, believe it or not, most of the time. Spot check. Do you remember the lyrics? What? Do we have them written down somewhere? Always keep a lyric sheet with you just in case. Here's the thing, check this out. That is one of my favorite songs in the whole wide world. Like, I love that song. It helped me to fall in love with my life here in Ohio, with life, with God, with Catherine, with everybody. But man, when I first came here, that's exactly how I felt, those words. And I was remembering that those words meant so much to me. Why have a second or a third verse? Why not just repeat it? That's how precious they are to me, and I always believed two is magic. So that was one of my attempts at writing a song, and why have more than one verse? You know, I love those lyrics. I love to sing it. I love to hear it. I can't believe that I produced it. I can't. I never wanted to be a producer, by the way, of music. In all honesty, I wanted to play guitar. And things came about, a long story, and now I'm a recording artist. And I'm very thankful because I really found myself in it. And I gotta be honest, I love the quality time alone with self and God. Words. I love studio time, especially when I can set it up just right. Very intimate. Passionate. Okay. I don't want to be sarcastic. I didn't know what to do. And now looking at it, it's easy what to do. And you're going to find this out. It is easy, but we need, a lot of times, if it's hurt, we're hurt really bad, we need emotional support. Can I tell you, Catherine was here for that. And unfortunately, fortunately, I really valued it and appreciated it. And we got into Indian talks. She drove me to various places here in Ohio to show me. We went to the LGBT parade, or Pride event, the Pride event in Dayton. She was the one I was walking through down on Main Street in Dayton. Our first time she drove in town with me, and guess what? A tumbleweed went across the street. Okay, and I realized, in my head for some reason, I am literally in the middle of nowhere. You only see this stuff in movies. So I thought, this is my life. In the Midwest. A lot different from the hustle and the bustle from living on the East Coast and being an entertainer, an adult entertainer, traveling, visiting New York and some of the big cities on the East Coast. One of my dreams when I came here was I really wanted to move to a warmer climate, sunny. I love the ocean, and the only thing I could think of was out west in California. I'm not saying that would have been the best life for me now, but at that time, all I could think about is going to California, living by the beach, and doing my music, and life coming together. Okay? I can't help that. That's where I was at mentally. I wanted to live in a beautiful environment, whatever I perceived as beautiful. I wasn't really realizing at the time to come that this is the beautiful life environment that I did live in. But I couldn't get my focus off what I want versus where I'm at. And that's what I thought I wanted. It doesn't mean it's truly what I wanted. This, going back now, is what I wanted. A place to go where I could be accepted, I'd be safe, I had a bed, I had access to the internet. It's snowing outside my window, and I'm warm. Can we get some eggnog, maybe pumpkin pie? Curl up, watch a movie, talk, have a snowball fight, build a snowman? Let me tell you, it'd be nice to think that back then, but I couldn't. How am I going to take care of myself? Well, you're taking care of yourself, I know, but how am I going to... This might work short term, but you're looking at somebody who has been asked to leave over and over and over and over again. Why, do you think I'm an asshole? You know, in moments I guess I can be, but how about it can be challenging just simply living with people, especially when they're needy, and I was needy. And I wish I would have known what to do, so I did what I did do, and I look back now and I say that's exactly what I should have done. During this time, the battery's almost gone here, so we're going to talk here. During this time, I was watching a lot of Joyce Meyers online. Maybe there was other various churches. I was reading books. This was after a long, in-depth, many years of reading the Holy Bible, power of the mind, positive thinking, whatever I could get my hands on. I didn't want to be suicidal anymore. I didn't want to think death. I mean, I really wanted to live. Like, I really wanted to live. Many people say there's no way you're ever going to live that life. Well, it's what's inside my head, I want to live. Not large, a beautiful life, a very beautiful life. Well, guess what? The world will tell you you have to work for it. And I say no. All you have to do is be for it. I'm convinced. All you gotta do is really be you. And work on yourself. And that gives time for God to prepare the way for you. Whoever you are. Don't lose hope in that. I'm convinced you don't have to work for it. You may have to put work in certain areas, but don't take the world's advice on exactly where you need to work in it. It may be a suggestion, but one that you would be better off without. Love comes in many ways, and God doesn't need you to do anything specific. It's all built on your belief system, and with your belief system is how you're going to carry yourself and conduct your behavior as you go through life's journey. With that being said, that's what I was doing in bed on my computer. Consumption, laying in bed. I was bedridden. Major depression. Crying all the time. One of the things I did when I was here is I researched Dayton, Ohio. What ended up happening is I left the mental institution. I was speaking on the phone. I didn't know what else to do. I was one to cry to Daddy. Daddy invited me back out. We went through this in 2009. Why is it going to be better? I don't know. I came out, and this is where it was set up. I was excited because Catherine was a transsexual female. That meant a lot to me, Dad. It was kind of like Laverne and Shirley. You know. It felt good to have a transsexual female friend, and I knew this because I had other transsexual female friends, short-term connections, relationships. And I really like that. It makes life fun. We can get past that part, and just a lot of transsexuals and people in the LGBT community have sense of humor. The ones that are opened, how's that? They have a sense of humor that's priceless. And she had a very gentle spirit, and she was very friendly, and she did have quite the sense of humor. I could talk openly with her, and she would say, "Oh, Tracilyn," and it was the way she would say it sometimes that would really make me smile inside my mind. I was such a depressed, sad. Did you ever see one of those cartoons? This cartoon character is always a sad person, you know, always walking around with their face down in a frown. You know, did you ever see Eeyore, Winnie the Pooh? That was me. I'm all depressed. I'm just here and I don't know what else to do. Sometimes I'm like Piglet, and sometimes I'm like Eeyore. But I'd rather be like Tiger. That was my favorite character on Winnie the Pooh. Bouncy. Very energetic. That's me. Tiger. A very happy one. That's what I want to be. So it came out the way it did. More like Eeyore. And here's the thing. A combination of Piglet, because I was really nervous. Daddy continually, again, helped me out, especially in areas that I could not do for myself. The thing is, he was in the process of selling his house. He was going through a separation. And in that was the potential for a new home. He had to get a new home. Well, with that being known, I was going to be moving there in the new home. Can I tell you? At that time, please listen to this. You have to hear the whole story before you judge. At that time, let me be honest with my raw emotions, I didn't want to move back with him. I wanted to be friends, connected. I appreciated the help very much. I didn't know what to do. What do you do in a situation like that? I loved Catherine. I loved being here. But I'm responsible for my needs, and the only one who will help me right now is my daddy. Thank you. Hear me out. Because I'm going to learn later on that I'm very grateful that I ended up living with him. And I really would have loved maybe more of a deeper, more passionate relationship. If anything, I would have at least still to this day be best friends. And at least in communications. I don't want to lose him in my life, okay? While I was here, I had a dream. And that dream was of Elvis. It came to me in an airplane. And you know how they set up on wheels, the steps going down? He stood out there. I guess he was at Dayton Airport. He stood out there. And he let me know that he was here to help me. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I had dreams of Elvis Presley. I was obsessed with Elvis Presley, especially the '68 special, Christmas music. I truly find Elvis Presley extremely attractive, like probably most of America. And the music electrifying, probably most like America. It was one of my inspirations on television that truly inspired me, that I looked at the television and I said, that's what I want to do. Cher is more of, in the human race, what I would like to be as far as being a girl, rather than a man. I'd rather be a woman. In my head, I'm thinking that. With Elvis, that's what I want to do. Okay, be a girl and do something like Elvis. Okay, as a little kid, that's exactly what I wanted to do. So that was in my toddler years, probably around the age of 3.5 to 6, somewhere in there. It would be between 75 and 80. With that being said, that was one of my dreams that came to me. I was experiencing dreams while I was here in Ohio, especially in 2010. If not 2009, I told you about my dog. Well, that was one of the dreams that gave me hope. The king came to me in a dream. Okay? I woke up one time to hearing some of the chorus to Nebraska, which was not Nebraska. It was actually another song. Nebraska was not going to be Nebraska at all. It was actually going to be another state. But can I tell you, I woke up and I heard this in my head. I went out to Catherine and I sang her the chorus. It wasn't a whole entire chorus, but I sang it to her. I said, did you ever hear this song? And she said, no, Tracilyn, I never did. I said, are you sure? And she said, she's sure. I looked it up online. I did not see anything on Google, on Yahoo. So with that being said, I didn't know if it was a song from years ago, of my past, maybe a past life, you think? I sat down and I wrote the song about my life journey, which is going to be on my next album. It's a song that I sang in our community many, many times. I called it Nebraska. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was going to be called Arizona, but I also knew that there were other songs that had like Arizona in it. And I did research. I don't know if there's a song called Nebraska at all. Was it? Is there a Bruce Springsteen song that I guess is called Nebraska? But I did not find any of the lyrics or anything like that that were in my dream, which is broke down in Nebraska, broke down in Nebraska, she broke down in Nebraska. The song is about transitioning, which was going from New York, malehood, worldly malehood, worldly self, to sunny California. Broke down along the way. That's what the song is pretty much about. Well, guess what? It was synchronized with my worldly self to my spiritual self, if you will, to male to female. In other words, I got partway through, but I broke down. I had a nervous breakdown, and I never made it. You know, I didn't get to move to California, and I didn't get to transition from male to female, and I never got to fulfill that rock and roll ministry. Is there ever a point that it's called, you did it? I'm here to say most likely no. There's always more or something to do. There's always something to do, whatever that is. That's what I believe. There may be more fulfillment of the hunger of your desires. Your desires have the appetite, like Pac-Man, hungry to be fulfilled. Please don't keep me on a diet. You know, I want to eat. In this apartment building, in my bedroom that Catherine provided for me, I wrote nearly 32 songs in a very brief time, the time that I stayed here. It's the first time in my life that I wrote 3 albums of material. And the thing is I loved every one of those songs. It was all about my life. It was all about the journey of witnessing and testifying to things I've been through. I had an opportunity to sit with Catherine on her bed after she told me a little story about her transitional journey. I asked her, I said, could I interview you with this and write a song about it? And she invited me to do it. She told me this story, and I call it 5 Good Reasons. I'm hoping to record that song very soon. All these songs I want to record. The way I mathematically figured it out, I have approximately 4 albums that I want to record at least. Maybe 5. And 1 or 2 Christmas songs. I wanted to do a Christmas album because I love Christmas music, and I'd love to hear myself fulfill that desire. I love Christmas very much, especially Christmas Eve night with snow, fireplace, eggnog, light, romance, very delicate music in the background. Candles? Maybe. Romantic. Beautiful lingerie. Yeah? Someone sweet and Italian. Is that too much to ask for Christmas? Smile, laughter, simple conversation, goofiness. I wrote a lot of songs there. When I wrote them, I would email them to Daddy. I did it with one of my email accounts. I forwarded him all the lyrics to songs. that I was writing. So he knew. The reason I did that is because I wanted him to know, look, you're keeping me alive. This is what I'm doing with the life you are now providing. Imagine that. Because of him, he's providing me life. Well, God is doing it through him, in all honesty. And we all know that know or think that way. God's providing it through him. The God of life is using him, not Tracilyn. And I'm very grateful to that God of life and for Daddy allowing it to channel through him. Love. I would send him the songs via email, and I already knew that these emails could possibly be in forward to a lot of other people without my approval. But I knew, without a shadow of a doubt, I did everything on the computer, documents and stuff like that. I saved all of that. If I made little tidbits of music as I'd done in the past, I always recorded it very simple and held on to it. I copyrighted my music. And if you write songs too, I would really take that strongly into consideration, that you go online to the federal government copyright or the government copyright office. Okay? Copyright, is it copyright.gov or copyrightoffice.gov? Check it out, let me know. Maybe you want to drop a link in here. Let other people know. When you write something and you do a collection of them, always have things time-stamped. Keep them in a file on your hard drive. I would suggest burning them to disk for this reason. I'm convinced, after being electronically harassed, that people can rid certain files from your hard drive via satellite. They can do all kinds of things. I believe that there are people in mainstream industry that are very crooked, to the highest regards. I believe I met one when I was down in Nashville, Tennessee. One of the songs that I started to write, and maybe I'll read the lyrics to you sometime, that I forwarded to my daddy, had to do after I had stopped off at Furlong, back to the 50s diner. And I heard her voice as I evaluated the room. It's really cool. Check out my video on my music page. It's youtube.com/Tracilyn, and you can see the video on Ragtop Cadillac. And I show you where I actually reached up to an Elvis picture, and I felt a jolt of electricity go through my arm. And in the video I say, what do you think of that? Well, I'm realizing that I might have been jolted by somebody via satellite that jolted my right hand. And that's how I was electrified. I went and I sat down at the table, and I heard a voice tell me in my thoughts that I thought was God to evaluate what was in front of me like tarot cards and turn it into a song. I don't know if that was God or if that was somebody playing God with my life. I don't know how Elvis Enterprise feels about a transsexual female passionately in love with Elvis Presley. What do you think? Do you think that would upset them? Protecting an image? Look what the world has done to me as a transsexual female. The world's ways. Look how we abuse one another at times. Imagine, and I said this, it would take a very strong person to be with me in a relationship, because I don't want to live in a closet. I want to be with somebody who's okay being themselves and loving what they love. And can hug me and give me a kiss. Who cares who's going by and seeing it? Most people don't care anyway. But at times they do. Are they strong enough to deal with it? I need a strong someone in my life that's okay with it. Could it be that when I came here, I wrote Ragtop Cadillac? I remember sending my daddy the lyrics, And my daddy replied back, in other words, to kind of turn the lyrics around a little bit and see it more in a positive light, if you will. And I gotta admit, in my sinful nature, I was thinking, twisting my lyrics around, huh? It was actually called Could Have It All. Could Have It All is what I titled the song. It later became Ragtop Cadillac. I may go back to Could Have It All. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Maybe I'll title it something else. Nevertheless, I understand it's based off of the 50s, and that diner's what inspired it. Some people in the business would like to say that Elvis inspired it. Well, to a point. It's a song based off the 50s and my appreciation for what the 50s is. I believed in that song, and I wrote it. And can I tell you that that's a story that I already shared about meeting Stephen C. Johnson down in Nashville, Tennessee at the Commodore. I sang that song on stage that day at a writer's night that Debbie Champion had scheduled me in on a showcase. He was there at the end of the night. I spoke to him. I already explained that. I don't want to explain it again. I want to tell you right now, I don't ever want to mention his name again. I don't like him. He's tied to Willie Nelson in some manner, and a lot of other people in the music industry, and I'm telling you, he's a very corrupted individual. I'm convinced that he has access to the means that people are calling electronic harassment. Okay? I believe that he has targeted me in many ways. And one of the corrupted ways is through the thoughts and communication. So, here's where I also had written Elvis Enterprise, and they actually put me like on, they took whoever they chose in articles. They posted articles, I guess, on the Graceland website, was it? It had something to do with Elvis. It might have been Graceland. You could send in your story and a picture, and then they posted it in their monthly sharing. I was really excited about that because you could see in that picture that I was very broken. And by the way, here's a picture of me with my black Michael Kelly guitar, acoustic, electrical, and it also has like an amplification on it, so EQ and stuff, tuner. That was given to me when I came back here by my daddy in Columbus, Ohio. I got to go to the store with him, a music store, and he asked me what it was that I wanted. And I gotta admit, it seemed like I was kind of maybe taking a little bit too long for his attention, but he was patient, you know, and I got to try out a few guitars. And I remember when I talked to the person at the guitar store, he told me that there was a place, I think in Kentucky or Cincinnati, that had just closed up not so long ago, and he got a whole lot of Michael Kelly guitars. I never seen one before. I never heard one. I used to use Takamine, and as a stage performer, I really liked a Takamine standard. Not anymore, but it worked for back then, okay? It's just not my thing today. I got to try them out. Got to sell him a brand new guitar at a very discount price because he told me the laws of Ohio require that. When somebody sells out all their storefront brand new merchandise, that they have to do it at a discount price. I forget what they call that exactly. So he was honest, and I spoke to him, and we got it. I spoke to Daddy, and I said, I think this is the one I want. I realized it was taking me longer than probably he would appreciate it. And same for me, you know. I didn't want to just look, he was helping me to buy the guitar for a Christmas present. I'm very selective over what I want to the ear, to the feel, all of the details, what it looks like. I'm looking at a relationship with this guitar. Well, it's 1, 2, or 3. I asked him even some input. I ended up taking what I got. And I'm glad I did. Well, I have stories to share with you about that because I lost it when living at Huber Heights. I understand it's very humbling for me to be receiving a gift that grand. It was very kind of him. If you see this, thank you. You can see pictures of me on that special day in Columbus, just before a girls' night out at a You're Not Alone party. I am in white. It was a special day of my life. I had my acoustic guitar. And you can tell I look kind of goofy. I was very excited and happy because I gave up my guitars. I figured it was time for me to put away, if you will, hopes and dreams of doing things musically. I never realized how therapeutic it was the main focus, and doing it because you truly love to do it, and in some cases you need to do it. There's nothing else that satisfies your soul more than playing guitar and singing for me. Battery time, and then we're gonna go walk around and we're out of here.